Looks like we've hit a rough patch with Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. And yeah, this one stings. He stepped onto the field against the Cleveland Browns and delivered a performance that, frankly, doesn't just raise questions, it screams them. 12 completions on 23 attempts, 100 yards, and 3 interceptions. That isn't just below par. It's the kind of outing that leaves fans exhaling in frustration and analysts circling like sharks. So here's the twist. Tua pointed to his height. At 6 foot, 1.85 m, he's saying the issue wasn't just pressure or reads, it was seeing. Some receivers disappear from my vision, he admitted, because he's not towering above the line. Because when chaos unfolds in the trenches, maybe his sightline's compromised. That's the explanation he offered. And honestly, it's a revealing moment. But let's pull back and look. How much of this is real obstacle? How much is a narrative shift under fire? Because other quarterbacks around his size don't seem banging the same drum. They're threading the needle just fine. So what's different here? From the stats side, throws down the seam? 6 touchdowns, 9 picks. Yeah, according to the deep dive. Through the middle of the field, throws aimed there. He struggled. Efficiency. Among the worst in the league. Not by a little. Top 10 bottom of the barrel kind of gap. And with that big contract hanging, valid until 2028 with more than $50 million coming per season from 2026 on. This isn't a learning period anymore. This is performance territory. When you watch the game, you see the Dolphins' offense sputtering. So many almosts. So many drives where things start to look promising then tip, pressure, misread, scramble, interception, punt. And Tua, in the post-game, offering height as a key problem. Well, it raises the question, is it really about height? Or is it about processing speed, game plan, offensive line issues, receivers, or just too much expectation? Let's consider the line of scrimmage. When the rush hits you, your world shrinks. If you're a quarterback with less clearance over the offensive line, those windows shrink faster. Duck under, lateral pressure, fewer glimpses of your middle field. So if Tua is saying visibility is compromised, it might be partly true. But here's where the narrative gets heavy. A quarterback's job is to manage all that. If you take height as your scapegoat, you run the risk of critics saying you're not adapting. There's also the question of scheme. The Dolphins have arguably loaded up receivers, paid big assets. Imagine you're Jalen Waddle, and you only get targeted 4 times for 15 yards. That's not just odd, it's an alarm light. Why wasn't the go-to guy more involved? Why did the quarterback, in his own words, hesitate to throw in the dark down the middle? Doesn't that sound like a play caller or scheme or trust issue? Or still, maybe height. But if height were the real differentiator, why do quarterbacks of similar size see more success? Are they working easier plays, earlier reads? Are they getting better protection? Is it the supporting cast? It's not just one dimension here. And to be clear, Tua's body of work includes flashes of brilliance. The talent's there. The arm, the accuracy when he's on. The problem is consistency. And right now consistency is glaring. And let's not forget leadership. The contract locks in big money. Expectations go through the roof. For a franchise that dreams postseason, maybe even Super Bowl contention, having your signal caller sit near the bottom of the metrics for success and EPA/play is hard to swallow. Teammates, fans, front office, they see it. They feel it. The vibe is shifting from hopeful to anxious. Now as the Dolphins stare down the next opponent, the Atlanta Falcons, there's no room for might get better. They need will get better. Tua's height explanation might raise eyebrows, but it also serves as a human admission. He feels constrained. He feels seen. But admitting a vulnerability doesn't erase it. It just exposes it. What needs to happen? More clear-look throws. More middle field attacks. More comfort under pressure. Whether that means changing the left tackle, altering the play call design, faster reads, something. Because if the narrative stays on visibility and height, the story drags you down. And as fans, we don't want to wait to find out when the turning point is. We want to know it now. Because here's the thing. The Dolphins aren't a rebuilding team. They've invested. They've committed. The expectation whispered in South Florida isn't just to make the playoffs. It's to win. And if your quarterback starts pointing to his height as a barrier in the NFL, well, you've got an ally full of doubt creeping in. So yeah, Tua Tagovailoa. Height, vision, sacks, interceptions. All those pieces are now painted in this darker shade. The real test. Not who sees clearly from behind the line. The test is, can he recalibrate, overcome, and drive this Dolphins offense into good territory? Or will the stories keep coming about couldn't see? Window closed. Went over his head. Literally and figuratively, the field awaits. You can sense it, right? That quiet tension creeping through the Dolphins sideline. The glances, the silent frustration after another 3 and out. Coaches trying to stay calm while players start to wonder what exactly is going wrong. And then Tua, who's supposed to be the calm in the chaos, starts hinting that maybe, just maybe, he can't even see his guys downfield. That lands differently. That's not just a stat line. That's an emotional ripple. The irony. He wasn't always this uncertain. There was a stretch, not that long ago, when the Dolphins' offense looked electric. When every snap felt like a potential highlight. When Waddle and Tyreek were stretching defenses and Tua was firing with rhythm and confidence. Remember that? Defenses looked lost. Now it's Miami that looks lost, trying to rediscover that rhythm while the quarterback hesitates, scans, double clutches, and waits for windows that never open. What happened to that quick release that once made Tua so dangerous? The decisiveness, the flow. It's fading, and maybe part of that is mental. Maybe after a few bad hits, a few bad reads, a few nights where the crowd starts to boo, you start second-guessing. And once a quarterback starts hesitating, the whole offense collapses in slow motion. The crazy part is, the height excuse is almost symbolic. It's not really about inches. It's about how small everything starts to feel when the pressure mounts, the pocket, the margin for error, the patience of fans. Height becomes a metaphor for confidence, shrinking under the weight of expectations. He says he can't see. But maybe that's just the truth in another form. He can't see how to fix it right now. And if you think about it, this Dolphins team wasn't built to be patient. They're in win-now mode. You don't hand out massive contracts, stack elite speed at receiver, and call it a developmental phase. This was supposed to be the year Miami silences the doubters, the year they finally look like contenders. Yet here we are, dissecting post-game comments about visibility, while the scoreboard keeps delivering the same verdict. Not enough. The locker room feels that. Even if no one says it out loud, players know when the energy shifts. You start hearing whispers. Maybe it's the play calling. Maybe it's protection. Maybe it's the quarterback. Everyone looks for answers, but nobody wants to say the one thing that might be true. Something's broken in this offense, and no one seems sure how to fix it. And here's the uncomfortable part. It's not just about one bad game. The numbers stretch across weeks now. Turnovers piling up, third down conversions falling apart, drives ending in frustration. Tua's body language says it all. The hesitation, the sideline glances toward Mike McDaniel, the long walk back to the bench after another stalled series.